Ladies and gentlemen of Australia, you have been warned that every party, bar one nation, in the federal Senate is in favour of the Great Reset. And if you haven't Googled it, Google it, watch it, and be horrified.
This week we saw, to her credit, Pauline Hanson challenge the Great Reset. And unfortunately, only two senators, the other one being a One Nation senator as well as Pauline, only two senators voted to oppose the Great Reset. Now, kudos to Pauline for bringing this up, but even if you got in, not even a senator was taken seriously on this. Where do we go from here? I mean, you can understand why people are disillusioned for the last 40, 50 years, just getting hammered with stuff. We present this solution to them that we can get into Parliament and then the world pays attention. And then a senator does speak up on it, and she does have our best interests in mind, talking against the Great Reset. And they just laugh her out of the courtroom. I mean, out of Parliament. What do we do when we're dealt with cards like that?
The problem with Pauline's, well, there was no problem with Pauline's motion or motion in the upper house, in the Senate. The problem is that not one only Malcolm Roberts and herself, as I said, voted for it. Everybody else voted against it, which means they're for the Great Reset. End of story. It's as simple as that. You have been warned, ladies and gentlemen of Australia, you have been warned that every party, bar one nation, in the federal Senate is in favour of the Great Reset. And if you haven't Googled it, Google it, watch it, and be horrified. Now, how do we get around it? If a senator can't do something, what can we do? Well, there's the old Homer Simpson advice, can't win, don't try. No. And this is what I keep saying to A1 people. Our primary objective is to build the party. You can protest if you want to, but that's not going to change anything. Build a party, build a party, build a party. Because if we have a protest and 500 people turn up, we have a problem. If we have a protest, and I'll go up an order of magnitude each time, and 5,000 people turn up, now the cops have got a problem.
Yeah.
Let's go up one more order of magnitude. If we have a protest and 50,000 people turn up, the politicians have now got a problem. Let's do one last time. If we have a protest and 500,000 people turn up, the politicians are now terrified and we win. Without law on our side, sheer mass, and I'm talking about peaceful, I'm not talking about anything violent, the sheer weight of numbers. We get 5 million people like around Australia turning up saying, Scotty and the premiers, you can go to hell. Because we know you're attainted of treason, you shouldn't be there. But you are going to stop, because we will bring the entire nation to a halt. And that's all we need. Don't need everybody, we just need enough. And that's what we need to do. Build a party, build a party, build a parparty. And just by sheer weight of numbers, because these guys are terrified. They are absolutely terrified. And I tell you, the good policemen and women of New South Wales, if there was a protest and 500,000 people were there, they'd be making sure that we were, we'd wave and smile and say hello, because they're good. They're okay. But I can tell you, good-for-nothing Gladys would realise that she and her government are out of a job. And I'm glad I mentioned that, because Gladys's big deal this week was to change. She was in favour of changing the national anthem. Here's another distraction for everybody. And she wants to change the word from "we are young and free" to "we are one and free." And the front page of the Telegraph had the one in red, which looks surprisingly like Australia One. And I thought, well, thanks for the advertising, good for nothing, Gladys. You're a dope, you're a fool, you're an idiot. Please go home. Stop embarrassing yourself. You're no good for the state, you're no good for the country, you're no good for Armenia, you're no good for anybody. That's why you're good for nothing. You're only being propped up because you are delivering for the people that really run New South Wales. But Gladys, nobody's getting it, nobody cares. You're a joke, we get it. Change the anthem, you serious? Well done. But anyway, the point is we can do it, but build a party, grow, and when the word comes down, we say Australia One, stand up. The entire Australian continent rumbles to the sound of 5 million people saying, that's enough, Scott. Time for you to leave.
Okay. So possibly protest is it's got a big part to play in the coming years.
The right protest, but the best protest is the next federal election.
Yeah.
That's the best protest.
Yeah. And you know what's great? We talked last week about that and the impact that can have. And we talked about once you get into Parliament, holding the balance of power, what you do with it, live streaming the negotiations. And you made the point, I made the point.
Well, I'll give you the job. We'll live stream the negotiations, and you've got the gig, mate.
Why not? It's good to get that one signed up early.
My word's good.
I'll get that in contract later. But I made the point that, Riccardo, they would sooner side with each other than go to another election.
And you were very astute to say that.
And then you said, because we've seen this around the world, and we've seen this in Australia. It happened recently, when one party held the balance of power, the balance, that party ended up actually changing and selling out. But then you said that the two parties would rather side together. That's right. And then the Australian people would clearly know who's for them and who is not for them.
And the way they'd sell it is, this is a wartime cabinet. We're working together to save the country.
Yeah.
No, they're working together because Xi Jinping tells both the Liberal and Labor parties to get together and deliver what he wants, which is Australia on a platter.
Yeah.
That's why it's going to happen. It's got nothing to do with Morrison and Albanese. These guys have no more power than...
I do. Look, I think there's a mix. I think there is a mix. There's a corporate sort of overlords. A lot of them receive Chinese funding that encourage to do this sort of stuff. That's sort of the line of thinking I think you take it down with Xi Jinping. And then I take it down the line of people like Jackie Lambie, who've done some great stuff.
Yep.
They just don't know. They just don't know what the Great Reset is. It is not a conspiracy theory. We talked about it a month and a half ago. It's to this date, it's our most successful episode. 300,000 views. 2 weeks later, Sky News cover it. And they get however many views they get. And then after that, Pauline Hanson moves this motion and it gets thrown down. I will say this. One thing that Pauline did do from doing this, which was very productive, is, how you were saying we would then know who's on whose side if you live stream the negotiations or if they sided with each other? She just did that.
She did.
And you didn't win a single electoral seat to do that.
As I said, politics is the most visible and least critical to our ultimate success.
Yep.
I'd love it when a plan comes together, mate.
We were talking about it last week. That's what kills me. It's 5 weeks ago, we set the agenda. We said the Great Reset, it's not a conspiracy theory. I threw what I had at it. We've played videos of the German guy saying, I want more power. We need a Great Reset. And Riccardo made fun of his accent. We set the agenda. The Sky News cover it. Pauline Hanson, I am self-aggrandizing, guys, because it's amazing. It shows you what you can do when you stand up and you say, this is what we need to be looking at. Stop looking at the confetti. There are real things we need to pay attention to. And once you stand up, once you speak the truth, once you cut the bull crap and actually start talking about the things that matter, and you talk using specifics. You're critical, but you use specifics. You chuck a suit on. You look presentable. And then you discuss it, then people pay attention, okay? We can't do what we've done the last 3 decades, which hasn't worked, okay? And this is my criticism for people who I genuinely care about. I genuinely care about the white nationalists. I really do, as fellow Australians, because this is our country we have to share together. What you guys have been doing hasn't been working. You need to get cut through in a better way. There are ideals you guys have which have to go. The skin color stuff is just crap. I mean, we just demonstrated that from our little exercise these last few weeks. Two ethnics are, fighting for, a sovereign Australia. But the point must be made, you can have an impact, and do not underestimate your power and the power of your vote. They paid attention. Pauline paid attention. She probably could have done more before this election, but she's paying attention now. Was it your seat or was it Tracy's seat where One Nation went down from 20% of the vote last election, primary vote, down to 5%? They lost 15%.
Both. They both suffered badly across the state. And in fact, we're looking at that, trying to understand the detail, because it's an important lesson. But
I just don't understand it.
But to your point, though, about everybody can do what they can, I'm just a simple soldier. I'm nothing special.
And I'm a 23-year-old Arab dude.
There you go. There's a lot of talented people out there. Yeah. Throw your hat in the ring and take control of your country, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
And I'll say it again. Sovereignty comes from each individual, and it doesn't matter whether you're a point piper millionaire or a prostitute from Emerald. You are equal.
That's right.
Utterly equal. And when people start to get that, that's when the page is going to turn.
That's right. So thank you, Pauline. Thank you for your courage. Courage is in short supply. I get it. It's not fun having Green senators, arguing with you and laughing at you. But oh my gosh, thank you, Green senators, because they just wear it on their sleeves. They make it so obvious what they're doing. They're like, we have to face the pandemic. We've got a climate crisis. We need to consolidate all resources and remove private, ownership of everything. It's like, thank you for being so obvious about it. I love it. It's beautiful. It's so easy to attack. It's like AOC's Green New Deal. Get rid of cows. Get rid of, air travel. It's like, yes, she said it. And she got re-elected, which is great. So we've got 2 more years of her saying this stuff. But thank you, Pauline. I really, honestly, I appreciate you. You've made a significant contribution over the years, and you are still doing it. Can you do more? Absolutely. But I mean, my mate who got the highest ATAR, he got the highest ATAR in the HSC. Of course, he could have done more, but credit where credit's due, and that goes for people in all parties, honestly. So it's good you've made it very clear now for the Australian people to see that there are 2 senators that are willing to put their name to that motion that I displayed before. Well done.